Welcome to Bliss in Being. I am thrilled that you have decided to partner with us. My name is Dr. Cammy Froud. I am the CEO and founder of Bliss in Being. And I also provide therapy and coaching to our clients, as well as clinical supervision to therapists in training. It is truly my honor and privilege to serve you and your family. Taking the first step and identifying that you need help and then reaching out for support are the hardest parts of the whole process. It's not easy to ask for help, and I'm really proud of you for taking care of yourself. After that big step, finding a therapist or coach can be really tough. It's hard to find someone who you have a solid connection with, who also meets other really important criteria like clinical areas of experience, areas of specialty, scheduling preferences, availability, and so on and so on. The good news is that those steps are now behind you. And it's now time for you to onboard with Bliss in Being. In this video, I am going to review key parts of our onboarding process and frequently asked questions. I will talk about your healthcare team, what to expect during onboarding, session frequency and length, fees and insurance, our cancellation policy, and where to find additional resources. This information is also in your onboarding materials and/or on our website. So don't worry about missing anything. You can always rewatch this video if you need a quick refresher. Let's get started. Your healthcare team. Who am I? As I shared earlier, my name is Dr. Cammy Froud. Clients call me Dr. Cammy or Cammy, whichever feels most comfortable for you, works great for me. Let me start by sharing a bit about my educational and clinical background. As a young person, I loved learning about how people develop, especially in the context of their families. That led me to earn a bachelor's degree from Boston College in human development. After graduating college, I earned a master's degree from Catholic University in general psychology, which helped me better understand the psychological and social aspects of how people with mental health challenges develop across time. In this program, I also learned that I really wanted to be a licensed therapist, so I pursued that track as my next step. I earned another master's degree from the University of Connecticut in marriage and family therapy, which I then used to become a licensed therapist. Meanwhile, I decided to stay at UConn for my PhD in human development and family studies. My area of focus as a doctoral student was examining the intersection of chronic illness and mental health. While I was getting my PhD, I was also actively practicing therapy to ensure I was always on the cutting edge of my clinical practice. After graduating from UConn with my doctoral degree, I completed a postdoctoral fellowship from the University of Colorado School of Medicine in medical family therapy. This degree allowed me to really specialize in working with individuals who are living with both mental health and medical issues. For example, musculoskeletal pain, fibromyalgia, pelvic discomfort, migraine, psychogenic seizures, and other chronic illnesses. The UCSF School of Medicine then hired me as part of their faculty in the family medicine residency program. This was really exciting because the program was brand new and I was the only faculty member with formal education in mental health. That meant I had an opportunity to really shape how the next generation of family medicine physicians would treat people with mental health issues. During that time, I completed a fellowship from the UCSF School of Medicine in medical education. This fellowship assisted me in training doctors in how to integrate behavioral health into the primary care system, which was a core part of my role as a faculty member in the program. After building the behavioral health curriculum for the UCSF affiliated residency program, I then moved over full-time into Bliss in Being. Bliss in Being is a trauma-centered mental health practice serving individuals, couples, and families. Because of my education and training in medical settings, I also work with people who are experiencing physical illness as a result of chronic trauma and PTSD. Even though I'm now done with my formal education, I've continued to cultivate new skills, credentials, and trainings to ensure that you receive the highest quality care. Let me tell you about my most recent clinical credentials. I am an EMDR certified therapist. EMDR therapist certification is an advanced clinical practice designation awarded by EMDR International Association. The certification requires that the applicant undergo additional training, education, and clinical consultation in the practice of EMDR. The purpose of certification is to identify therapists who are uniquely positioned to support trauma survivors and their families. I am also an EMDR certified consultant. EMDR consultant certification is a clinical teaching designation also awarded by the EMDR International Association. Consultants provide clinical supervision to trauma therapists in training. Consultants must have a lengthy track record of practicing EMDR, and then we must complete an approved EMDR training program, engage in consultation for supervising EMDR, and conduct EMDR consultant sessions with therapists in training. I am also Gottman certified therapist. Gottman certification is awarded by the Gottman Institute. Gottman couple therapy is a top-tier evidence-based treatment for couples. Gottman certification reflects mastery of the Gottman method and identifies experts in the field of couple therapy. Certification requires extensive coursework, a track record of providing couples therapy, clinical supervision, and case reports. Lastly, I am a MAPS certified therapist. The Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, MAPS, offers a clinical program for therapists training in psychedelic-assisted therapy. Research on psychedelic-assisted therapy is extremely promising for PTSD treatment, and we at Bliss in Being practice psychedelic-assisted therapy in accordance with the laws of our state and the FDA regulations. What about life outside of work? Some clients want to know about my life outside of my profession and education. I know how important a personal connection can be with your therapist or coach, so I am happy to share a bit about my own life. I do not believe in therapist or coach as blank slate, and I want you to feel like you know as much about me as you need to feel really comfortable. I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, and even though I've lived on the West Coast since 2016, I am definitely a Bostonian at heart. Clients generally describe me as a direct communicator, skills-focused, goal-oriented, and I am very quick to laugh and crack a joke. I personally started therapy when I was a tween, and I've continued through the present day with only a few short gaps. Therapy has been a really core part of my personal development and a huge contributor to my longstanding, happy, and healthy relationships with friends and family. I have been happily partnered since 2010 to my husband, Salman. We actually met just a couple of weeks after he immigrated from Iran to complete his education in Boston. We went through a very lengthy immigration process together and finally celebrated his citizenship almost 10 years later. We live in San Francisco full time and visit the East Coast often, as well as travel internationally. We have a very cute beagle named Marjorie and two cats named Duchess and Fenjune. When I am not doing therapy, I am running or writing. I'm also an avid reality TV show watcher and enjoy reading romance-based fiction. If you have any recommendations for me, I am totally here for them, so bring it on. I was very glad to share some of my personal background, and I really appreciate you listening. Let's talk about who else is on the team. Who else is on the Bliss in Being team? Bliss in Being is a team-based practice. What that means is that I work with a very small group of dedicated professionals to ensure that your needs are met in a timely and efficient way. Every team member who interacts with our clients is trained in best practices for healthcare administration, which includes privacy and confidentiality. If you're watching this video, it's very likely that you've already communicated with at least one of our team members. You may have spoken directly with our practice manager or someone from the scheduling team. Working within a team can take a bit of getting used to, but I promise that it is totally worth it in the end. When several people are looking out for your well-being, we can make sure that you get exactly what you need when you need it. You will have the most contact with two people, your service provider and Bliss in Being's practice manager. Let's talk about each person. The practice manager. Bliss in Being's practice manager will handle all of your clerical and administrative needs. For example, the practice manager will facilitate the completion of your paperwork, schedule your sessions, and respond to your emails, text messages, and phone calls. Depending on the content of your message, the practice manager may forward it to your provider if she believes it requires additional input. You can call, email, or text the practice manager and expect a response within 24 hours during normal business hours. As a reminder, our practice manager can be reached by email at clientsuccess@drcammy.com or by phone at 1-800-908-7890. This information is also available at the bottom of our email signatures and on our website. Your service provider. Part of the onboarding process includes you and our practice manager choosing your service provider, also known as your therapist or coach. I am the service provider for many of our clients, and we also have other very talented therapists and coaches on our team. You will always have the final say as to your therapist or coach. And if you ever want to switch providers, all you need to do is ask our practice manager, and I will set up an appointment with you to learn more about who may be a better fit. Your therapist or coach is responsible for all components of your healthcare. This includes completing your intake, preparing and updating your treatment plan, meeting with you for regular sessions, corresponding with other providers, and other clinical tasks. This person is your point of contact for all of your questions, thoughts, or concerns about your care. For example, if you want to discuss your treatment plan, the structure or frequency of meetings, relationship dynamics, or other aspects of your care, these are all appropriate questions for your therapist or coach. I always encourage clients to discuss these issues during a scheduled session rather than by email or voicemail. That will ensure that there is enough time and attention to process all of your needs. Between session communication with your service provider. There may be times when you want to communicate with your therapist or coach between sessions for a non-emergent issue. Usually, clients want to talk between sessions when they need support around an unexpected situation or an event that has occurred. This could be a new medical diagnosis, it could be a change in relationship status, a new mental health symptom, a time-sensitive decision that needs to be made, or something else. If you need to reach your provider between sessions, contact the practice manager first and request to book a drop-in session. We reserve several spots per week for non-urgent last-minute visits. You can schedule that by emailing the practice manager at clientsuccess@drcammy.com or calling 1-800-908-7890. Let's say you're not looking for a drop-in visit, but you just want to provide your therapist or coach with an update. You can send your provider an email or a voicemail, which they will review within 24 business hours. Your therapist or coach may request that you schedule a drop-in meeting if the content of the message requires an immediate response. If it doesn't, you should assume that your provider has gotten the message and will discuss it with you in your next session. Lastly, and this goes without saying, but I am going to say it as a reminder for all of us, if you are experiencing a true emergency, for example, you are feeling unsafe or you need medical or mental health support right away, you should call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room. Your health is number one, and we want to make sure you get the care you need right away. Let's shift gears and talk about our online portal and the paperwork. Simple practice and initial paperwork. After you've committed to working with Bliss in Being, our practice manager will send you a link to the online portal called Simple Practice. Simple Practice is a HIPAA-compliant, secure platform where we schedule your appointments and store your paperwork and other information. You will receive an email with all of your login information for Simple Practice. You can log into the portal and complete the opening paperwork, which includes a consent form, the fee structure, assessment tools, and other information. It should take you anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to complete all of the forms. If you're in couples therapy, there is an additional assessment that you will receive from Gottman Connect. That assessment takes an in-depth look at the core areas of your relationship, and that will take about 40 minutes for you to complete. There will be an assessment for you and also for your partner. It is so important that you read these documents closely and take time to thoughtfully complete the assessments. The documents include important information about your rights and responsibilities as a client and the rights and responsibilities of your service provider. The assessments provide your therapist or coach with a baseline understanding of your strengths and needs, as well as your healthcare history. If you have questions about any of the paperwork, you can ask our practice manager for clarity, or you can talk to your service provider during the intake. Let's talk about the intake session itself. The intake. All clients complete a 90-minute intake with their therapist or coach. During this intake, your therapist or coach will introduce themselves. They will talk about their background, experience, and style, and you will review the consent form together and discuss any questions or concerns that you may have. The next part of the intake will include the provider learning all about you. Here are just some of the things that you and your provider will discuss as you are getting to know each other. What brought you into treatment in the first place? Your challenges and successes in the present day, your goals and your dreams, the vision for your life. You will also talk about your childhood and family history, including the highs and lows of your upbringing and everything in between. Your therapist or coach will ask about important relationships in your life, any distress you've experienced in relationships, and your goals for community building. The intake will also address your physical health and the ways your mind and your body speak to each other. At the end of the intake, if you're in psychotherapy, your provider may review an initial diagnosis and treatment plan. If you're a coaching client, you will never receive a diagnosis because coaching is not healthcare, but your provider may share some initial goals for your work together. Session frequency. Our practice manager schedules sessions for all clients. It is important that all scheduling requests go through the practice manager to make sure a provider is never double booked. You can always reach the practice manager at clientsuccess@drcammy.com or 1-800-908-7890. You can expect a response within 24 hours during business days. Clients routinely attend therapy on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. That said, there are instances when clients attend therapy less frequently, and some clients seek an additional appointment in between regularly scheduled sessions. Clients with a weekly or bi-weekly appointment will be offered a standing day and time. This provides consistency for clients who seek regular support. For example, if you want an appointment every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, we can schedule that out in advance so it's blocked just for you. Clients who schedule less frequently can utilize our drop-in appointments. This will provide flexibility for clients who seek intermittent support. Clients who want to meet at a different time every week or meet less frequently, say every month or just as needed, can request one of our drop-in appointments. We have several appointments available each week for non-urgent or last-minute needs. For example, if you cannot commit to the same weekly appointment, you can reach out to our practice manager at the beginning of the week to request a drop-in appointment for that week. These slots are first come, first served, but we generally have space for clients who make these requests. Session length. Individual sessions are generally scheduled for 60 minutes. If you want a longer session, feel free to request that extra time with the practice manager. We have a very limited number of 30-minute drop-in appointments each week, which you can request for non-urgent or time-sensitive needs between your normally scheduled appointments. Couple and family sessions are at least 90 minutes. We've learned that couple and family work is very time intensive and that 90 minutes is the bare minimum time we need to make a meaningful difference. This longer session length ensures that each family member or partner has an opportunity to contribute and that the therapist can facilitate interventions for complex relationally based change. Fees and reimbursement. Bliss in Being's fee structure is outlined in your initial paperwork. All fees will remain the same unless we send a letter through the Simple Practice portal indicating a fee change. If and when this happens, we will always provide ample notice and will work with you to ensure continuity of care if you need to change providers. Let's talk about insurance. If you are a therapy client, you may be interested in insurance reimbursement. Bliss in Being and all of our providers are not paneled with any insurance companies. We are all out-of-network providers. That said, most health insurance plans cover some portion of out-of-network psychotherapy after meeting your deductible. So it's worth exploring this further if you do have insurance. There are two ways we go about helping clients with their out-of-network claims. You pay for each session in full out of pockets. We will then provide you with a super bill that you send to your insurance company. And your insurance company will then mail you a reimbursement check for your allowable rate. Unfortunately, it can take weeks for the insurance company to mail you the reimbursement checks. That means you could be out of pocket for a big sum of money until those checks start coming in the mail to your home address. To solve this problem, we partnered with a third-party company called Advocate to deal with all of your out-of-network claims. That brings us to the next option, Advocate. Advocate runs your insurance and calculates how much you owe per session and how much insurance will reimburse. You can opt to pay only what you owe at the time of the session. Advocate will then submit the claims on your behalf, and then Advocate waits around for the insurance reimbursement check so you don't have to. That's right. You only pay what you owe, and Advocate does the rest. Advocate is a service that we pay for as a courtesy to our clients to make therapy more accessible. It is completely free for you. As a gentle reminder, we are not responsible for any insurance-related communication or correspondence. Before scheduling your intake, it's really important that you are crystal clear about what your insurance covers and what it does not cover. Advocate is extremely helpful to our clients in gathering this information and taking the mystery out of network insurance. But if you choose not to use Advocate, you will need to secure this information yourself by calling your health insurance company directly and submitting your own paperwork. Cancellations and rescheduling. I am both a healer and a business owner, and this becomes a complicated dance when it comes to cancellations and rescheduling. As a healer, I absolutely honor your need to cancel or reschedule to care for your body, family, and attend to urgent tasks. And as a business owner, I am responsible to maintain financial integrity to manage our business expenses. This is how I currently balance those two needs. Our policy, outlined in the consent form you signed, requires 72 hours notice to cancel or reschedule an appointment. If you cancel less than 72 hours before your session, you will be responsible for the full fee. That said, if you cancel less than 72 hours in advance, we work really hard to fill that spot with another client. And if we are able to fill that spot, and often we are, I will not charge you a cancellation fee. I waive the fee as a courtesy and to demonstrate my commitment to client collaboration and the financial viability of Bliss in Being. Additional resources. We've built a big database of resources for our clients at Bliss in Being. These resources run the gamut, from psychological first aid to emotional regulation to healthy communication and more. We want you to have a resource that you can access between sessions, to feel empowered to care for yourself, to problem solve, and to strategize for change. If you're looking for some new reading or viewing materials, go right on over to our website, www.blissinbeing.com, and check out our resource section. There are a ton of original articles and videos I made just for you. All right, my friends, I think that about covers it. If you have any additional questions or comments, please reach out to either our practice manager or your therapist or coach. I am beyond excited for you to start on this journey, and I have endless faith in your ability to become the absolute best version of yourself. I hope the rest of your day is slow and easy, and I will talk to you soon.